Welcome to the Geek Retreat Spoiler Cast, Episode 5. I'm your host, Steven, and I have with me Mick.
What's happening?
And Jason.
Get the four-leaf clover ready.
Oh, my gosh. And this week, we are spoiling Artemis Fowl.
We want to know everything about the man you work for.
The man? Oh no. This isn't about the father. This is about the son, Artemis Fowl.
You've grown strong, son. And smarter than I ever imagined.
Then take me with you.
You're all I have now, Artie. There's just one very important thing I have to do.
Authorities launched a worldwide manhunt for the famous collector. He is suspected to have been behind some of the biggest robberies ever.
Dad. Hello?
Your family has taken something of great value from us. Return it to me or I will destroy everything you love.
You weren't supposed to see this yet. Your father is in a complicated profession. For years, he has protected powerful secrets that have kept mankind safe from the dangers of another world. It's time to face your destiny.
Now look around, this is what they call greatness.
But we are not alone in this.
Mulch Diggum's just a talented giant dwarf.
And I'm Holly Short, your ally on the other side. It's real. All right. Save my father. Save the world.
Whole team ready, tell them we on deck.
Scared, Artemis?
I prefer scared to dead.
An army is coming.
You think you can beat us?
We'll see.
Who do you think you are?
I'm the next criminal mastermind.
Now look around, this is what they call greatness.
I didn't read much on trolls. Anything I should look out for?
The teeth.
They eat people. Good to know.
Artemis Fowl, the latest Disney movie, released June 12th, went straight to Disney Plus. And we follow Artemis Fowl Jr., who goes on a hunt to find his missing father and discovers a secret society of fairies. So let's start off.
Fairies, goblins, and trolls.
Yeah, fairies, goblins, and troll. All the mystical beings.
Right.
And dwarves.
And dwarves.
Everything. All that, I think that falls under all mystical beings.
Yeah.
All right, let's go
And
with
ants.
with first impressions. Let's go with our first impressions.
Well, can I start it off?
Yeah, Jason, take the wheel. Jason.
So Disney kids movies all have the same feel, at least to me when I watch them. And this was no different. It had that same feel. So it's not like it didn't feel like a grand scale movie to start off for me. But I don't know, I guess it was tolerable.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
Okay, tolerable is the word. I think tolerable is going to be the word of the day, to be honest.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go next. For me, so it took me, I'm not lying, it took me 3 times, 3 different showings to watch this movie the whole way through.
Like, I can believe that.
The first time I saw it, my kids watched it and I fell asleep on the couch. And then every time I started it again, I just got bored and turned it off. I think I made it probably 15 minutes in before I turned it off the first couple times.
Yeah.
And it just felt very dull. It was like getting the information that you receive in this movie is like drinking out of a fire hose. There's a phrase in the movie world that says show, don't tell. And they didn't pay attention to any of that. It is, I think, 90% of the exposition in this movie is given by the narrator as things are happening in the background. It's just very all over the place. I think it's one of the worst Disney movies that I've seen in a long time.
And exposition, for those who don't know what exposition is, it's when the movie tells you all of the information you need to know,
Right.
to know what's going on,
Yeah.
instead of it playing out or being done
watching it
or
develop
anything like
and trying to piece things together. That they just told you everything that's going to happen. And
by the narrator and also by the characters
Yeah.
too. They're
Yeah.
reading things out and this is so that's why this has happened. And there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah. All right, Mick, what do you got on first impressions? Here, let me guess. It was a good movie.
So it was all right. I mean, it could. I like fantasy stuff. You know what I mean? So I like anything that's kind of fantasy in that world, and it kind of made me think a little bit. And wouldn't that be crazy? You know, we get all these stories of of elves and dwarves and all that stuff. What if they did go underground to escape us, and that's what
Secret
you have?
Society.
Not saying. I'm just saying it's a crazy way to look at it. You know what I mean? And that's why we don't see them today, because they're in hiding. But I like the concept. Obviously it was a book before it was this, but I felt like they really rushed it, and you knew exactly what was going to happen, like you guys were saying. Like they didn't. There's no surprise. You know what I mean? Some of the action scenes were pretty good, like when they're fighting the troll and stuff. I think they did a decent job on the CGI for what it was. But
Right.
It was,
we'll get to the CGI later.
Yeah.
In our...
It was okay. It was okay. I mean, it's something to throw on for the kids. You know what I mean?
It's definitely one of those movies that kids, if you got young kids and you just want to put something on in the background for them to watch, they'll probably like it and not really understand what's going on. So let's get into, like, this is an adaptation of a book. It's actually of a huge series, like a really beloved series. And I didn't know that. I haven't read any of the books. And apparently the
I just
books...
found that out just right now.
The only reason why I knew is because I think either my wife read them.
Yeah.
Somebody read them.
And so the books, from what I've heard, are amazing. I've heard they're fantastic stories, and they do a really good job at developing the characters. And this movie is, one, a terrible adaptation of the book, and two, it's like the first 3 books of the series crammed into one film. Like,
oh, it's 3.
Yeah,
3.
No, I think it's more than 3. I think it's like 5 or 6 books. I can look it up.
Why would you try to do that?
Well, that's why. That explains why it felt really rushed. Like, how did that girl elf?
There's 16
fairy.
books. There's 16 books in the Artemis Fowl series.
Yeah.
But
how did that
movie incorporated how many of them though?
I think at least the first 2, maybe a little bit of the third. And from what I'm reading, like, they strayed way far away from the books. Like, they tried to, like, so there's the scene that you get introduced to the butler. What's his name? Don.
Yeah, don't call him the butler.
Yeah, don't call him the butler.
Yeah.
In the book,
damn.
everybody calls him the butler. Everybody calls him the butler. Like, that's the joke. And so, like, they're trying to, like, stray from that, and it's like, stay true to your characters. There's a lot of other discrepancies that I just don't know how to get into. I never read the books, but I hear if you are a lover of the series, I would recommend not watching this movie from what I've read.
Well, Disney it stays true to just changing the story
what they're doing
completely.
lately. Yeah.
Well, everything,
always.
all their story,
Yeah,
always.
that's true.
Even their old things, they're
Yeah.
based off of scary, really vulgar stories.
Yeah.
And they're made into child stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we're introduced to Colin Farrell's character, Artemis Fowl Sr., and he's being very secretive about these fairies. He's telling stories to his son, Artemis Jr., and he gets taken away. They have that word again, MacGuffin, called the Aculos, that's been kept away. It's been taken somewhere. And
play a drinking game when you watch this and take a shot every time you hear that
every time you hear
word.
that word, Aculos.
Aculos.
And so we go. It sets up a really good story. Like that, you think there's gonna be this huge adventure and this huge like this clues, like solving this puzzle. Like none of that. The Aculos is in a safe in the dad's house. Like, and it's just like it was just really poorly done. It's so thrown together, and there's zero character development. They introduce, I don't even remember the little girl's name. They were like, we need somebody who can fight like nobody else can
Juliet.
fight. Juliet. And they introduce her, and she does nothing.
Did nothing with it.
Literally, she makes sandwiches.
We'll get the characters.
Yeah,
I'm sure. But yeah.
Yeah, we also meet Dame Judi Dench is in this movie playing Commander Root, and I don't know if she's on a track to sabotage her career towards the end of her life, but like first Cats, now this. She's not.
Hey, I thought you meant in the movie sabotage her career, but you meant like
I meant like in real life, her
actual
actual career. I mean, she's known for some amazing stuff, and the past two she's done have been stinkers.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, that Cats look a lot better with them buttholes added. Wasn't that so good?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
Jason can't.
It was funny though.
He can't even compute what you're saying right now. So let's talk.
Did
a
you
little
see
bit.
that? I posted that on our Facebook. Check it out.
Yeah, go to our
Posted
Facebook
it a while
page,
ago.
Check it out. Yeah. So the lead actor is he's a brand new actor. His name is Ferdia Shaw. I'm like really sorry if I'm ruining that. Ferdia Shaw, Ferdia Shaw. I get that like there's child actors and it's hard to like give a kid a role and watch him like pull through with that role. But man, it was so hard to watch some of his scenes. Some of the line delivery that he gave it was just like literally like he was reading a cue card.
Yeah.
And then he would just like wait to be fed that like the line wasn't being given to him.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like waiting. And the camera just like stays on him. And it was really hard for me to like, it's sad because like, it's not his fault that like you can only do so much with what you're given, and the story wasn't deep and the script wasn't deep.
I think it's bad directing, isn't it?
Huh?
Wouldn't that be bad directing?
Yeah, I think it's all around.
Because he's telling him to do a certain way or act a certain way, and then he's like, yes, that's it. No, that wasn't it, bro. Do this a little bit.
It can be both or either. It's but I don't know. I don't think it was the director though. And I want to be a little bit lenient because we are dealing with kids here, and but that's the risk with Disney kids movies, because you have to have these kids play out these roles convincingly, and it's hard to direct kids. It's hard to I don't know. It's very rare to find a great child actor, and they're few and far between. Sometimes you get lucky, you find one. But you got like Drew Barrymore, of course, you got people, the Fannings, both of the Fannings.
Yep.
Elle and Dakota. The boy from Sixth Sense, I always forget his name. But
he has a weird name. It's like a girl's name, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. I don't remember.
I gotta look.
But he was really stale, kind of cardboardish. Wasn't getting much out of him. I agree. It was kind of hard to watch him sometimes. And I kind of felt that kind of across the board with the acting. The only one I really kind of liked, who did the best job, I think, was Holly Short. I think her name was Laura McDonald.
Yeah.
The
ferry officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like the thing too I had an issue with like the story is like they set up that the story is going to be about Artemis. But I felt like the story was more about Holly Short, the fairy, than it was about Artemis. Like she was the one who was really I feel like doing all the work. She was just trying to like write the name of her dad, and Artemis is like he's just trying to find his dad, and it's like.
Well, they had similar missions, I think.
Yeah.
And actually at one point I thought, is their dads going to be the same? I thought maybe
I had the same feeling. I was
And,
like, their dads are like tied together somehow.
right, and so they were on similar quests and they were trying to do the same thing. So I think they're kind of like mirror images of each other, I guess, if you can kind of say it that way.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of like 50-50. It was kind of about 50-50 for them as far as with the story, who was driving the story.
Yeah.
But I can definitely get behind what you said though. I mean, you can definitely make a case for her taking the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, while we're talking about characters, yeah, you already brought up the fact that they brought in Juliet. This is supposed to be the butler's niece, was it?
Something. Yeah, I think so.
And yeah, they totally brought her in for no reason, and unless they're just there's no unless. If you're gonna bring someone in, and they brought her in like this epic fashion too, like they brought her in like this awesome action training montage, yeah, and then we never saw her fight.
Well, and if memory serves me correctly, the exact phrase he says is that if we're gonna bring somebody in, we need to bring somebody in who can fight trolls.
Who can fight? Yeah.
And a troll comes in the house in like the third act, and she runs around the house screaming her head off, like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and dangles from
dangles from the chandelier.
Chandelier like half the time.
Stuck the whole time.
Yeah. So it's just like there was tons of buildup and no resolution to any of the story arcs. I didn't feel like, even like.
I don't feel like there was a story arc.
Yeah, the story doesn't go anywhere. There's no movement at all. It was very one-dimensional movie.
I didn't really grasp a clear-cut climax of that movie. I guess it's maybe supposed to be when a troll enters the house, but I don't know. That's not enough for me. I don't think. I don't know where.
Yeah.
Like the turning point of anything was.
So okay, I felt like the climax was like the time distortion timeout thing, like when it was gonna like malfunction. Like they kept playing into that, and so it was like when this time distortion goes, everything's gonna go crazy. So it's like
nothing went crazy.
But that's the thing, is like nothing went crazy. Everybody went into that little warp tunnel, and then it was like, oh, okay, we're good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't know. It was just weird. There's a scene I like. The only scene I laughed in was like the part where Commander Root comes to the door of Artemis, and he was like, she's like, I'm here to negotiate. And he's like, well, you're not allowed inside my house, or something like that. And it smash cuts, and they're both sitting inside his house at the dinner table having negotiations. And I'm just like, why did you say that? Like, what was the point of, like, you're just like throwing words into this story to reach your hour-and-a-half time frame. And that's what a lot of it feels like. I like, we can move on from the I don't know. We could. I feel like we're beating a dead horse with the
okay, wait. So while we're on acting now, I said only Holly Short was good. What did you think? So I'm kind of on the fence about him. What did you think about Josh Gad?
I was just gonna bring that up. So
Josh Gad played Mulch. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Mulch. He was the narrator of the story.
Batman voice.
Yeah.
I
could.
There's a whole bunch of Batman. There's a whole bunch of Batman voices.
Yeah, Judy Dench had a Batman voice.
And that was funny. I did laugh because Mulch did mention.
Pardon me.
He mentioned in this. There's a point where he mentioned that he makes fun of her when him and her are talking about her releasing some of it, relieving him of some of his years.
Oh, his years, yeah.
And he mentions about.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, nattering back and forth in an infected throat of a voice.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Both of them.
They kind of jab at each other. No, it was just like, I don't know. It felt good, but again, it goes to like, I think there was too much of him. You know what I mean? If you hold off, like all they gave us all this stuff of like his character Mulch and how he's like what was like, what's he being interrogated for? Like, I don't get the point of the interrogation. Like,
they wanted him to help get Artemis.
Okay.
Fowl. But
he's like, he's secretly working for Artemis.
And I think you don't really find that out until the end. I think they don't really make that clear until the end.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been a way better job if they would have like showed him, let him narrate into the story. And like, I feel like good narration is like Aladdin. We can like use Aladdin as a really good narration. Like they show you, you meet the genie. I think I don't know what he is, the panhandler, and he opens the movie and then he closes the movie at the end of the movie. I love that kind of narration and let the story tell. So like
bookend it.
Yeah. So like if they would have done that with Mulch's character and then kind of introduce him in the beginning and then we kind of forget about him and then he comes back in the third act, I feel like his story arc would have been like at least the most like, okay, that makes sense. But he's just in the whole movie the whole time. And like we see him he has like the fight with the goblins in the cell and they set up this whole like rivalry between them and he plays this whole what was it? I'm a tall goblin, like
tall dwarf.
I'm a giant
dwarf, and I don't know. It was just like it was all over the top, I think, and it was too much. I feel like there was too much of him. It would have been better if there was less of him.
Right. Well, he wasn't like a big part of the story. I guess he was the guy narrating the story.
He was a big part. He wasn't a big part of the story, but I feel like they made him a big part of the story.
Right, because he was the one that was narrating the story,
and I felt like it confused.
Telling the story of, but I think they're trying their attempt to set up another movie after this, because they, I don't know.
I mean, it's probably going to be there. There's probably going to be another movie, but if it's going to do as good as this, it sucks too because like
I don't know.
The pieces are all there, right? Like the budget was $123 million. The director is Kenneth Branagh, who did like Thor. Like he's been in an event. He's been a director.
He's an actor too, right?
Yeah, he's been in. He was in not 17. Dunkirk. He was in Dunkirk.
That's pretty weird because he's usually good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like all the pieces were there. We got Judi Dench, like Colin Farrell. He can pull stuff off, you know. But like I don't know, it was rushed and fell apart. So
can we talk about CG a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it. That's the last part I want to hit on, and then we'll get to wrapping this bad boy up.
So I mean, it was pretty cool sometimes what they were trying to do and what they were like. How they're moving throughout the effects and stuff, but it was I don't want to say sloppy, but it was I don't know. It's
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, I don't want to be that harsh though. I mean, because like I said, I mean, you gotta expect something for being a Disney kids movie, at least to me.
Right.
Because that screams to me, hey, this is just for the kids. This is just something. This is not some major big scale movie that we're throwing to all of this big demographic. So sometimes it's scaled back a little bit, and I can accept that. But a lot of times it was just sometimes I felt like they did a good job with it, but most of the time I felt that that wasn't quite smooth, or that wasn't quite rendered completely maybe, or sometimes it kind of felt video game CG cutscene ish a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't
definitely like the part where like Holly gets thrown by one of the trolls. It was like when CGI takes you out of the movie, that's bad CGI.
Yeah.
And I think that happens. You're gonna see this a lot in this movie.
Times,
Is you're gonna see CGI, especially like the number one for me was when Mulch opens his mouth, I guess, like and like pulls his jaw down. It's like, okay, I guess so, but it's just like it's so jarring to see it happen, and you're just like, all right, whatever. And then you like, did you guys catch it? Like he's eating it and pooping it out at the same time.
Yeah.
As he was digging, I'm just like,
and it goes like through his underpants.
You see his boxers and like going through his boxers, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like is that really what the book was like, or I don't know.
But the jaw thing, I think that even though it was kind of jarring because of what he was doing, I think that the animation of it was pretty clean. At least I thought.
Yeah.
What really kind of the moment that took me out was the battle when the fairies came after Holly was taken captive by Artemis.
Oh yeah, when it shows
and they
like
had
the
that,
big wide.
Yeah.
Of them all coming in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So and then they had that battle with the butler and Artemis Fowl Jr.
Yeah.
Had a couple times too. I thought they felt like I don't know if you guys ever watched that TV show James Bond Jr. as
No.
a cartoon back in the day.
No.
Yeah, but I kind of felt like he had a little, because there was one, I think at the end, I think there's twice, but especially at the end, he's like, I'm Artemis Fowl Jr. And it kind of felt like
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, I think I do think that's how they try to set up this character, because he, like, that's the thing, is he's a criminal mastermind. Like, he's a criminal,
Yeah.
but we don't see him do any criminal acts, but he, like,
right.
tries to be hard like one. So anyway, sorry, I
Right.
didn't mean to take you off. Go ahead, back to CGI.
Yeah, and then so anyway, Arnold Shaw Jr. and the Butler had this like duel with the fairies, and they were kind of going like a 360 shot going around. that part is what really, I mean, there's a lot of cool shots in it, but then that's a lot of effects that were not that great in that moment as well. And that's the biggest moment to me that took me out, or the first big moment that took me out.
Yeah.
The other one was the troll inside the house. There's a couple moments in there, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
like,
the CG, overall, what I'm saying is the CG could have been better.
I agree. All right. Well, I think we've said what we need to say. What do we? Let's give this movie a score. Uh-oh. You want to, Mick? Why don't you go first this time?
I'm first.
I didn't give you time to think about it.
Now I'm going to keep in mind that this was a kids movie.
Yep.
Right. So, and will I think it will be any kid's favorite movie? I don't think so. Will it keep the kids' attention? Yeah, I think so. For a little bit. It wasn't my cup of tea. Like I said again, I do enjoy the concept. It's a very interesting concept to me. But that wasn't their idea. They're taking it from a book. I'm gonna have to give it a 4.5.
4.5. All right.
It's not. It wasn't very good.
All right, Jason, let's hear it.
Keeping in mind that this is a kids movie.
Oh,
well,
come
I'm
on.
trying to keep in mind that
You
this
don't
is
have
a
to
kids.
keep in mind that it's kids movie. It's
Yeah, I think you have to,
it's a
but
Disney movie.
yeah.
But I mean, Disney's supposed to be cream of the crop.
Well, they haven't. I feel like they haven't been for a long time, but that's a whole nother discussion that we should have.
So this movie was kind of, to me, Percy Jackson meets Kingsman.
Yep.
If it had like a stepchild offspring. So
that might be the best description of this movie I've ever heard.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. But this movie is drastically inferior to both of those movies. The storyline was I think the worst enemy of this movie, because it didn't really go anywhere. It didn't have any climactic parts. There's no character arcs. There's no challenge for our characters, because the dude is so smart. He figures everything out so easily, and there's no challenge, and he's not challenged with anything. And we talk about this being a kids movie. So do I think that this will keep a kid's attention? I don't think so, because there's too much exposition for it to be entertaining for a kid. They're not going to sit through a bunch of explanation, and that's what this movie does. Once it starts getting into the graphics and the effects and stuff like that, they're kids will probably be too young to realize that it's not great. They'll probably be in tune, but it's not enough of it, I think, to keep their attention. So that being said, I think Mick was pretty on point with his score, but I'm gonna give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, and give it a 5.
5?
5.
5.
No, just 5.
5? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I agree wholeheartedly with both of you. I think I've told you guys this before, but for you listening, I'm a guy who, when I see a movie, a new movie especially, or a new show, I have to sit through the whole thing. I can't fall asleep during it. I can't do nothing. The fact alone that this movie made me fall asleep like twice, and I had to turn it off one time just because I was bored of it. It really that really is gonna like sway my vote to the downside. I don't know, Jason, you said it perfectly. Like, there's no story arcs. The story goes literally the whole place it takes place inside his house the
Right.
whole entire time. He's like a Mary Sue, like a Ray, where like just nothing can beat him, nothing can outsmart him, anything. And so it's just like is so bland. It was just a bland movie, and so I am gonna give it like a 3.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
brutal, man. It's
Yeah.
a kids movie.
It's, I have kids. I have 3 kids, and they have yet to ask to watch it again. And I was thinking about it, like when we watched Onward. I think they watched Onward 4 times a day, every day for like 2 weeks. They watched it so much, but I felt like Onward was a good movie.
Yeah, that's
Onward
great.
is a
You know
good
what I
movie.
mean? So like the fact that they haven't even like brought this one up. My kids will watch like Spy Kids, the old Spy Kids, before they pick this one. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with a 3 for sure. So
Yeah, I think I was too nice on it, but I still,
all right,
I'm gonna keep it at a 5 though. But
all
I'm
right.
just,
In the edit, can you do
I'm
like a
just being
5,
generous.
5.55?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's it. That's Artemis Fowl. I don't know if you haven't seen it, go see it and let us know what you think. If you have seen it, were we on point? Were we right? Were we wrong? Let us know in the comments below.
Or if you haven't seen it, find something else to watch.
Yeah,
No.
that's better advice. Oh my god. Yeah. Or hey, okay. How about this? If you haven't seen it, go read the books.
Yeah,
And
if
if you're a fan of the books, don't see it because it'll
Definitely
it'll
don't see it if you're a
don't
fan of the
see it if
books.
you're the fan of the books. So all right, well, this has been the Geek Retreat spoiler cast. We are the Geek Retreat. My name is Steven. That's Jason, and that's Mick. We are 3 coworkers who get together every week to discuss movies, games, and everything else in the entertainment world. We do have a podcast that you can go check out. It comes out every Monday. You can find it right here on YouTube, or go to iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify, or any other podcast host you enjoy. We also have a Facebook page that you can go to kind of get to know us on a deeper level, get to know our community. But make sure to like this video and subscribe, and stay tuned for more. So
and you just been spoiled.
I got to get used to you saying that. All right. Well, yep. We're the Geek Retreat. Have a good week. We'll see you next week.